Hey, I think we should have had an empty chair and just have an AI voice assistant and interview that. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We are here at the Lieber Institute for Brain Development. My name is Jeff Delizio. I'm the Chief Advancement Officer here, and I am happy to moderate this discussion on AI at the Lieber Institute with the leaders of our AI lab here, Dr. Shizhong and Dr. Michael Nagle here. So what we're going to do today is just have a conversation about, why we got into this space, what we're seeing right now, and where do we think this is going. This is a dynamic space, to say the least. It's changing all of the time. So we are going to have to, try to convey as much as we can, because I think while there is some fear in the AI space, there is also an incredible amount of hope and potential. And I want to make sure we're conveying that there is some real things happening right now. And I think it's going to blow some people's minds. So, ready to chat? Great. Well, let's start the scene. I'd like you both to introduce yourself. Shizhong, please give us a little history about your background and how you made it here.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Shizhong Han. I'm a leader investigator at the Lieber Institute, and I'm also an associate professor at Johns Hopkins Medicine. I came to the Lieber Institute about 5 years ago for its academic excellence in brain research, outstanding research environment, and the freedom to pursue innovative ideas without constant pressure of chasing grants. My passion for the AI actually grew naturally from my background in statistical genetics, where I have spent over 20 years searching for genes contributing to different human complex diseases. My official journey into the AI world started around 7 years ago. Right around that time, Google just released the transformer model, which currently powers all fancy AI tools you know about, like ChatGPT and many other large foundation models. We are actually one of the earliest group to apply transformer model to to the DNA sequence data. Ever since then, it has been a very exciting ride. Yeah.
Exciting is probably an understatement here. I want to talk a little bit about those transformer models and a little bit about your background. But before we go there, Michael, why don't you give us a little overview?
Hi, I'm Michael. I'm a staff scientist working with Shizhong. So Google released a programming language that enables scientists to develop applied AI to really help study biological data sets and more, opening up AI to more than just computer scientists, more than just those who are able to program GPUs directly. And this provided opportunity for biologists to really get started using AI for research. And so I began that area of work around 2017 in grad school. And at first it was predictive AI, where we're mostly working with images and trying to classify or label or segment these images, measuring different parts of plants during development and trying to automate the microscopy process, replace it with a machine. Then my first experience with generative AI was trying to generate more samples to train the predictive AI. And I noticed work here, as Shizhong mentioned, some of the early groundbreaking work in using transformers for biology really attracted me here and caught my attention. So as we were moving from the predictive AI era into the generative AI era, and also for family reasons, I developed a personal interest in neuroscience due to my grandfather's dementia. So I was very interested in getting into neuroscience and also moving deeper and deeper into generative AI. And the Lieber Institute is perfect for that.
So let's dive in there because at the Lieber Institute, we are fairly unique in the sense that we have these three main buckets that we operate in. We have this incredible brain repository and a logistical network to have the 5,000 plus brains here on site that we study day in and day out. It's an incredible asset and a very generous and altruistic asset for those brain donor families that donated their loved ones' brains. We've got great research happening across multiple modalities. And then we have the drug discovery group. The ultimate goal at the Lieber Institute is to prevent and cure mental illness and aging-related diseases. So can we talk a little bit about, how does AI in neuroscience accelerate the process? What's changing with the brain? Because it's complex. So how are we looking at AI impacting neuroscience specifically in the work that we're doing here? What can it do that we couldn't do a year, 2 years, 5 years ago?
Neuroscience is actually a very broad field. To me, like AI in neuroscience means like we use AI, especially deep learning models, to analyze and understand very complicated data sets collected from the human brain, such as DNA sequence data, gene expression data, protein data.
When you say complex,
yeah.
What do you mean by complex?
So this data like represents
100 data points, 200 data points.
Like our human genome like contains roughly like 20,000 genes.
Okay.
And we need to like understand the function of each gene, like where how it goes wrong that may lead to the brain disorder like schizophrenia, depression, bipolar. And we need to find the root causes of the disorder. But this root cause could be very complicated pattern. So AI fits in perfectly here to help us to basically peek into the secret at the molecular level to identify the root causes. So we can like design like specific like chemical molecules to fix the root causes, like, and then for disease treatment.
What's your take on AI in our corner of the neuroscience space?
Well, as Shizhong mentioned, the brain is incredibly complex, many different regions, and so single cell sequencing is one area that has been gaining a lot of traction.
What is that?
Single cell genome or transcriptome sequencing is when we look at the gene expression of individual cells, which is very different from looking at a whole group of cells together. And in the incredibly complex brain, this is helpful, but it gives us a treasure trove of really massive data, a scale of data that would not be possible to realistically go through without AI. So with AI, the previously impossible becomes possible because we're able to multiply our effort and scale in a way that really allows us to make the most of truly massive data sets.
We've been talking internally about kind of the two main areas that we're looking at as we integrate AI more into our work. And one of those sides is the kind of the deep research, the deep science that's happening out there, right? It's unlocking things that we weren't able to do before. And then the other is productivity, right? We want people to be doing the science. We want people to be able to get into the lab and try to get some of that repetitive or tedious elements, which there can be, out. So can you talk a little bit about how you're using it in the kind of that deep science world first, and then we could talk a little bit about just some of this productivity piece that is, frankly, potentially going to change how research is done, over the next several years and how institutes are structured even potentially.
So we use AI on two levels, basically. So you mentioned one level is technical level, and another is the science level. So on the science side, we use AI to help us answer bigger questions, such as which part of our genome goes wrong, and how it causes the disruption of the function of the genome and the brain circuit and the behavior. So, and we also use AI to design molecules that could be completely novel, like for specific targets. We are trying.
So for drug discovery, so this
Yeah.
is an area I know that we're operating on. So these are basically the drug discovery process currently is, traditionally out there is that we're looking at research, we're reviewing things, and we are then trying to figure out which molecules or compounds we can put together.
Yeah.
And what AI is doing is creating these completely new molecules or combinations we've never seen before, and then we start testing those.
Yeah.
How about some of the productivity things that we're using? I know you have a few of those in the works.
Hey, one of my favorite examples would be how we train neural networks. And a neural network is what is really behind all of modern day AI. It takes a long time to train. It takes a long time for it to learn. And during this process of training or learning, we have a lot of plots that we look at. And over the course of weeks, these plots are consistently being updated. And we as the researchers need to look at them, interpret them, and determine how to adjust, how to turn the knobs. Turning the knobs during the learning process is essential if it gets stuck. And this process can I would say it's mostly science, but a bit of art, and it requires intuition of the scientist. Now, the old way to sort of automate this would be something that we were calling auto machine learning or auto ML, where we could train many different models, many different versions of the same model at the same time. But that's very computationally expensive. So recently, with some newer models that have been coming out, AI is really good at supporting AI research and having an intuition of this process of turning the knobs. So it's now possible to have some of these agentic models that are able to work to some degree autonomously, look at these plots for us and keep the hyperparameter, the knob turning process going overnight, for example. Whereas traditionally, I might have a model training and it could get in the middle of the night, then I don't know until the morning.
And this would basically fix itself or try to fix itself?
Well, that's the hope, and it's
Okay.
Showing a lot of promise.
To talk a little bit just about also your, and again, I'm on the lay side of this, but your ability to have agents, and maybe describe an agent, but agents working to write a lot of this code for you, which you would have been doing before, and then the agents, you have the ninjas that are on top of that.
Right. So these agents, an agent is essentially a chatbot. So you can think of ChatGPT, but give it tools, give it the ability to edit code and to take many sequential actions. In response to the user's prompt. And some of these agents could have personas. Contrasting personas can help them to sort of balance out each other's mistakes. And one persona, for example, could be, as you mentioned, a coding ninja who needs to be very sly and careful in editing specific. And these agents are able to take away a lot of the load of writing what we call boilerplate code, routine parts of code that take a long time to type and used to be the main part of what took up our time, really. We used to spend most of our time having to write repetitive code, looking up how to do something on Google, translate from one programming language to another, moving code around, what we call refactoring, when we have to reorganize code. Now, these things at this point can be mostly handled by agents with proper management. Agents can make mistakes, though. At this stage, they're still very young and not very reliable. So it helps if we have a supervisor agent watching our coding agents. And also, we require consistent human in the loop. So the human can be notified by a notification, a voice alert, in response to problems that agents have. And now it has become possible for me to focus more on strategy and design without worrying as much about certain details of exactly how we write parts of code. So I'm able to spend a lot more time reading papers while supervising agents, and being able to have as much time to read papers is really essential in a field that's moving so fast.
So you have these agents, basically you've created your own staff, right, that are writing code for you, and then you've created supervisors for those staff to review that code, and then they will let you know if there's something that seems off, and you'll kind of jump in there and fix it. Is that how much more productive do you think you are now?
Well, there are many different ways of measuring productivity. And it can also be complex and more than productivity. So for example, I don't have carpal tunnel issues anymore because I get in grad school from frantically typing very fast all day. And productivity is multiplied, also extended in terms of how long we can keep it going. And the goal is to sort of keep the work running, keep the coding running 24/7. And we're not quite at that point yet, because we do require human intervention at least somewhere between once every 20 minutes or once every couple hours. But we're able to keep things running longer, multitask a lot more, do coding for 3 projects instead of 1. And this really multiplies our productivity, and we're seeing this trend continue.
Okay, I don't know if that's going to equate to doubling or tripling your salary. I just want to be clear, because I know Dr. Weinberger is listening, and needs to know that. But I think that this is another area that is just fascinating to see that level of productivity. And I'll just give it another antidote. From preparing for this, we were talking to another group here that was doing work, incredible work in our drug discovery crew. And they, were talking about doing cell painting in leveraging AWS relationship and our Amazon Web Services, as well as the AI kind of embedded in there. And we were doing some of this this compute, this crunching of data over here in our local servers. And it was taking us 5 or 6 days to do. It was a fairly manual process. And we implemented AWS, and we implemented AI into the mix. And in that 6 days went down to 30 minutes. And now that just gives us an incredible amount of opportunity to do other things. But I want to dive into the science now, right? Because we are here for a reason. We are here to help people and to get things, novel therapies out there into the world as frankly as quickly as we can, safely, because people need help. So Shizhong, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the whiz-bang things we're doing in the science side that is specific in terms of the work that we are uncovering now.
So in my group, so our research, we have 2 lines of research goals. So one is to identify specific genes that are involved in different brain disorders. And then the second goal is to design the molecules that may target the disease, the identifying disease genes, and for disease treatment.
What will that do for us? Like, what will that do for research?
So in order to achieve these two basic goals, we develop novel deep learning models. For example, so we developed the models to help us understand the function of genetic variations across our genome. Just for a little bit of background information. So like our genome contains like around 3 billion letters of
3 billion letters.
Like ACGT, we call nucleotides specifically. Most of the letters like between any two people are exactly the same, like 99.9% are the same. It's those like 0.1% difference that make our each person unique and our different risk increased or decreased risk to different disorders. And actually, even among those 0.1% tiny proportion, some of them actually it has a biological effect on our genome, but some of them are neutral. So
some of these differences have a actual biological impact on us, and then some just don't.
Some silent.
Okay.
And nothing related to our like health condition. So one major task is we are applying like deep learning model, especially we are applying a transformer model I first mentioned to help us understand the function of those genetic variations, like which one is matter.
And when you understand that function, which really was difficult to do or impossible to do before, in an easy way at least, what does that understanding give you?
Yeah, exactly. Like if we use the traditional methods like a classical statistical genetics or human genetics approach, we need to collect data like from hundreds of brain samples. And we need to like it's very labor intensive, very cost experiments, and it may take like years to collect all the data and understand the function of the genetic variations. But with the AI, we can just like collect data, collect
much less data,
much less people, and then we use the AI to learn the patterns.
Got it.
Analyzing the data and then determine what kind of pattern is associated.
So just to connect the dots for other people, like I want to go a little further down the road there. So if you understand this, what does that do for us to like, is that the root cause of a disease? Will that drive us to a new drug? What's the end result that we've been held up at this early stage?
So after we learn the function of those specific letters, this information is very critical to help us specifically narrow down a gene. So in our genome, so that causes the disease. So that once we get into that point, it can tell us a target. We can develop the drug.
There you go. So that understanding that gene, which is really hard to figure out right now, is kind of that crucial point in the process of drug discovery to figure out, okay, we need to figure out how to create a target that will actually address that gene. Yeah. That's great. Talk a little bit about some of the things that you're doing with Grape and maybe another project that you're working on.
Sure. So as Shizhong mentioned, we have both these predictive and generative areas of AI. Predictive can help us find drug targets, and then generative can help us design a novel drug addressing the specific target. Now, Grape, project being supported with a grant from AWS. Grape stands for Generative Reinforcement Alignment with Predicted Expression. And this sort of integrates both the predictive and generative models into one framework. That's our goal. And so as opposed to just one gene, schizophrenia and other complex mental conditions can be controlled by many, many genes, and we would call them very polygenic.
Okay.
And as Shizhong mentioned, most of the actual DNA sequence, almost all of it, is the same across humans. But gene expression can really vary a lot. And expression of many different genes is important for the development of schizophrenia and many other conditions. So if we are able to predict how these variations in expression influence the disease, then we can also connect these predictions with a generative model so that we can steer the generative model by reinforcement learning, which you might have heard of for large language models like ChatGPT and training those. Our goal is to use this reinforcement learning to take the predictions and use those to directly steer the generative process. And this sort of, we hope, will remove the gap between finding a target and developing a drug and really speed up the whole process.
So go in a little more like by how much, if you had to make a guess, for me and for our players at home here, what will that do for that process in theory? How fast will that? I mean, will it make things go a heck of a lot faster, a little bit faster? I know I'm being very unscientific here, but speak to me.
It's difficult to say how much faster when we're doing things that would have been completely impossible without AI. We would say that a lot of these problems involving the brain or polygenic traits controlled by many genes in general are what we would call intractable. These are problems that are so complex that previously, even with a computer, we could not solve them in a reasonable time. But with AI, the previously impossible becomes possible. So if I were to throw out a guess, maybe it could have taken 10 to 100 years to do some things we're hoping to do in a year or a few. But really, we're just aiming to do what was not possible before at all.
So what we're hearing here is that first of all, we're able to do things clearly that were not even remotely possible prior to AI. And the second piece of this is it's accelerating the process for us, right? We're hearing that productivity, that piece that we can now move this process along in a much faster way. And it also sounds like it's taking some of the burden and the lift of the repetitious work that you all are doing and allowing you to actually think more and be more strategic and explore and innovate in other ways. Frees up that brain space to a degree, correct?
Right. One thing AI still does not do very well is coming up with the ideas, figuring out what experiments to do, exercising the creative judgment that humans have. So our ability to automate certain parts of the software development process, certain parts of coding, or of turning the knobs of a neural network enable us to really make sure that every day we take a look at the new papers that come out and stay on top of the field and are always able to make sure we don't fall behind, make sure that we have a chance to spend more time reading papers while at the same time multiplying our productivity and being able to do what humans still at this point do best, which is coming up with ideas, designing experiments, and getting creative.
I'm constantly blown away by the level of complexity and the detail that happens here. Where, I know this is a near impossible question, but where do you see us going, with AI in this space? And usually I would say in the next 5 to 10 years, but I feel like the speed of development here is so fast. Let's just talk about the next couple of years. Shizhong, why don't you give us your take, and then Michael.
So I think it's really hard to predict. So where it will go within the next several years, because this field is moving really fast, and I can see at least in our institute, I would say like AI would become a very important part for many different projects here at Lieber. And beyond the some AI-driven projects we described here, I know like our drug development team, they are using AI to detect some subtle difference for the cell morphologies that may related to schizophrenia. And they also use AI to detect and quantify the mouse behavior. So in their experimental model for testing some drugs. So across the overall field, I think AI will definitely transform neuroscience, especially from a more descriptive observational to like more predictive and actionable. So AI like after like analyze like AI has the potential like to extract more information from massive like different data sets of different modalities. So that will help scientists like to like predict like when the disease will happen, and then what action like they can take even to prevent the disease much earlier as possible.
Well, in 2 to 3 years, again, it's very difficult to predict how things will look. But we can anticipate that bottlenecks of drug design won't be the same as what they used to be. So previously, it's taken many decades to develop drugs for particular targets. And the process of drug design itself can be an order of magnitude more than 10 times more efficient. And we could see more bottlenecks in other areas, for example, clinical trials. And now many are doing work on trying to simulate or predict outcomes of clinical trials so that they can be done more effectively and they can be sped up. So when one bottleneck, one process that slows us down is alleviated, then we'll look towards the next one. And it's difficult to predict what the next one will be, but we can expect massive speed ups in many areas. I think massive improvements in productivity. If we believe the majority of computer scientists researching AI who are speaking of artificial general intelligence, or AGI, AI that can handle most or all tasks that humans are able to do in a very human-like way. And this is something that many or most of the computer science experts are anticipating within 2 to 3 years. It's very difficult for us to anticipate how that will transform our research or transform the world, but we are doing everything we can to be prepared, everything we can to get ready and make sure we're making the most of our resources. So we're not caught off guard and we're not at a loss of what to do with all of these newfound powers. We are ready to go and hit the ground running as new technologies come out and let them empower us right away.
That's fascinating. I'd like to start shifting and ask our audience here if they have any questions. They can put them in the chat. We've got the team here helping out, and let us know what specific questions, general questions, AI questions. We've got some really smart people here in these two gentlemen. So you know, by all means, let us have it. While that's happening, I'm just curious, what is your PDOOM? And if you can explain what PDOOM is, if you have one.
Well, PDOOM, probability of doom, or a very negative, catastrophic outcome from AI.
Well, global, like at the humanity level, yes.
Well, what is doom? How do we want to live our lives? So personally, I think with the brilliance of human innovation and human innovation supported by AI, I think we will be able to ensure that the vast majority of AI is used for good. And we can anticipate rogue AIs causing problems in the future. But I believe that.
And we send good AIs after the rogue AIs?
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Great. So what's your number? Give me a number.
Having a background in statistics, I'm not comfortable estimating a probability without some kind of backing, but I will say experts. I think I saw a recent study surveying AI researchers that put it at around 13%, based on current technologies. However, there have been many papers identifying specific flaws in the way we are teaching ethics to AI. And as these papers come out, as we learn more, we are getting better at moving that closer and closer to zero, and making it infinitesimal, too small to imagine, basically, as we get better and better. So we expect that to get smaller and not bigger.
It means nothing, but I'm at around 25% that AI is going to destroy the world. We're also going to cure some amazing diseases here. But do you have a number, just out of curiosity?
I would say like 1%.
There we go. Okay, good.
I'll not worry too much.
I will take it.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions? So I would say that the other question that I had somebody ask, which was totally off the wall, is how should we be thinking about outside of the lab, let's say, how should we be thinking about integrating AI into our world in a safe and productive way? Do you have any suggestions or thoughts on that?
You were talking about supervisor agents before, and I think this is a concept that can be increasingly important, especially as we fine-tune models, as we align models towards human ethics. And this could be, for example, fine-tuning a model for drug safety profiles, or it could be fine-tuning a model to ensure it follows human laws, ethics, and values. So using AI to monitor AI, I think all of us in the field agree is going to be incredibly important. And we're seeing a lot of work extending beyond agents or autonomous AIs towards organizations that can sort of keep each other in check and bring out the best in each other.
So not getting into the ethics of using AI in high school and college, I don't want to wade into that water today, but what should current students, and especially those that are in the sciences, whether they're in a undergrad, grad program, doctoral program, how should they be thinking about AI? Are there things that they should be, if they're not in that AI space or a technical person per se? What is your advice to those students that are up and coming so that they can be really effective in the field and have some understanding?
So my suggestions are like have two sides. So on the technical side, I would encourage people to try to use AI as much as possible. Like when if you do like if you write the code, optimize the code, and if you try to read a paper, understand a paper, so AI can really help improve the efficiency and the productivity. But you have to be careful. Current AI is not perfect. They are hallucinated sometimes. And on the science side, if you plan to pursue the research in the field of neuroscience or the brain, and I would still say, just think of AI as a very powerful tool to help you address important biological questions. So the most critical part is still about the right question. And then you can develop the model to address the question.
I think that it is impacting so many areas of life now in some sort of way, but it's only going to increase. And what's most exciting is the fact that it is opening up these new doors of hope for me, right? This fact that, you know, we know that there's going to be continual advancements in science. It's going to happen, but we know that that takes time. And as I mentioned before, people need help. They need help now. And we want to try to get the right therapeutics out as soon as we can to help families, you know, cope with these mental health conditions as well as these, aging related decisions. So thank you for your time today. We'll be having some more conversations, doing some town halls to answer more questions here, but I'm really looking forward to where we're headed, and we'll keep you all updated.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.